Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Reckless Paradise podcast. I am your host, Dystro, and tonight it's another Throwback Thursday, but this time it's kind of different. But what I mean by that is, since Rumble season is not currently on this month, at this time is in February, which is kind of odd. Um, but I figured, well, Marissa and I had figured that since Rumble season is kind of around the corner, maybe we should just look back on some famous or memorable Rumble moments, and also I can just give my predictions on the 2025 Royal Rumble this year, since it is kind of around the corner. So let's kind of dive on into this. So, as many of you know, the Royal Rumble is 30 men going into the ring. One man has to eliminate 29 other superstars to win a championship match of their choosing at WrestleMania. So, the start of the company's road to WrestleMania and the home to some of the most unforgettable moments in pro wrestling history. There have been staggering returns, awe-inspiring debuts, and one storyline development that paid off the fans' patience with a long-awaited betrayal. In preparation for the 2025 show that will feature Roman Reigns and John Cena stepping into the Royal Rumble and Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship in a ladder match against Kevin Owens, let's dive deeper into those historic moments with this look at the greatest crowd reactions in Royal Rumble history. So, to kick off this list is a memorable moment in 2009. RVD returns to WWE. Rob Van Dam had not wrestled in a WWE ring for over 2 years by the time he returned at the '09 Rumble, and fans let him know how much they missed the whole damn show with electric reaction. Van Dam fed off of it, turning into turning in turning in on one turning in one of that Rumble's best performances, amid a crowd still brimming with joy over seeing the former WWE and ECW champion in a match that they did not expect him in. Sorry about that first little bit there. I was trying to see what they were trying to say. He would not win the match, of course, but he was proof positive that Mr. Pay-Per-View had created equity with fans to that point. It would remain forever over, regardless of when and where he would pop up from there. This is also around the time when he was just about to go to, I think he was just off of TNA, or he was just about to go into TNA. Because RVD was kind of he was not along for the WWE route at that time, and then he would go to TNA and he'd become world heavyweight champion. I think he'd become like X Division champion, I think, at some point. And then they didn't do jack shit with him, kind of, in TNA. And then he goes back to WWE in 2013. He was there for a cup of coffee, 2013 to 2014, I think. It's still a memorable moment. That '09 Rumble was really stacked too. I think that was the year where Shawn was trying to get the world title shot and he just fails miserably. But he did have a good match with Taker that year in '09 as well. Um, but going off of that, this next moment in 2016, this is where Roman Reigns had to defend the WWE Championship in the Royal Rumble, and this is where Triple H becomes World Heavyweight Champion once again. I still remember this moment to this day. We were probably all pissed that it was down to Dean Ambrose and Triple H, and then Dean Ambrose didn't win it, and it was like a massive sucking the air out of the fans sort of thing. It would be a massive understatement to say that the WWE universe was still at the peak of their dislike and disdain for Roman Reigns, who they believed was being shoved down their throats by the company in an attempt to create the next big major star. If there was ever a moment that was more perfectly exemplified the resentment of the WWE fans towards Roman Reigns was the 2016 Royal Rumble, which is true. The big dog and reigning WWE champion, had entered the match at number 1, survived all comers, including a debuting AJ Styles. I do remember that debut. I think it would have been kind of cool to save him for WrestleMania at this point. But that's just me. Suddenly, the number 30 spot Motorheads of the game exploded over the sound system, and Triple H stepped through the curtain, and not as executive, but just to compete. He enjoyed the enormous reaction from fans, despite being the clear heel, and only saw the reaction grow louder as he dumped Reigns over the top rope, ensuring the second generation superstar would not leave the show as the champion. Triple H would go on to win the WWE Championship that night and etch his name in the history books as the 2-time winner of the annual contest, which is actually kind of crazy that he was a 2-time winner of that Royal Rumble. It's just still shocking that at that time that concept was never really done per se, but it was like 1991, 92 when that happened, because it was like it was not Gauntlet for the Gold. That's not TNA. This is not TNA. I remember it was like the WWF Championship was held up at that time, and it was like, we need we're gonna need a Royal Rumble match to declare a new WWF champion, and it was like Ric Flair entered number 3 and wins the whole fucking thing. And then I remember that feud into that year was like over Savage and all that stuff too. But yeah, it's still kind of cool moment. Kind of most recent one was Cody Rhodes winning the 2023 Royal Rumble. It's still ingrained into my mind too that Cody Rhodes, within the year that he debuted in 2022 at that year's WrestleMania over Seth, it was just, I guess it was good storytelling, because it's like, this is like, I'm trying to think of like the perfect, like, I guess, sentiment to say it. Like, Cody Rhodes had left this place, and he went to go be his own man and started his own company and all that stuff. And then it's like he was like kind of shoved down our throats a lot, and he was showed up on TV a lot. And then, like, he couldn't get over in his own company to save his life, sort of thing. But, as that may be, it's like, I think Cody Rhodes now is like, it's a perfect, I guess, time for him, because he needed to come back, I think. Because, like, this was like the, I guess, end all be all, like, that, like, Dusty Rhodes didn't win the world championship, so his son could, sort of thing. Fresh off a torn pectoral muscle that haunted the dreams of fans who remembered him revealing to the world at Hell in a Cell the previous May, Cody Rhodes made a triumphant return at the Royal Rumble in January 2023 and received a thunderous welcome back. The fans in San Antonio knew he was coming back. By the time he had not entered the 29th spot, it was obvious he would arrive at number 30 spot. Still, it did not damper his return, as the WWE Universe was overwhelmingly happy to see him back. That he overcame and eliminated the likes of Dominic Mysterio, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Braun Strowman before outlasting Gunther to win the match and cash his ticket to WrestleMania 39 in a date with Roman Reigns, only made the Nightmare family that much happier. His win in 2024 would generate a equally positive reaction, but that first one was so special and reaffirmed that even a significant energy that put him out for action was not enough to keep Rhodes from continuing his story on the grandest stage of wrestling. And I actually watched the 2023 and 2024 Rumble, and it only made sense for Rhodes to win back to back, because it was like, he said, I got to finish the story, and it's just like one of those things where it's like you cannot have him not win it, sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where it's like, if you didn't have him win in 2023, it was like one of those things where it's like, okay, like, so who would be up next, sort of thing. It's like, it's not going to be Gunther. It would be Gunther, kind of, it's like he lasted from number 1 or number 2 to all the way to the end. Like he was the freaking Iron Man in that match, which is saying something because Triple H had like a lot of chips on Gunther, and it actually kind of paid off because like within like what like a year or two, like he was like the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. He's currently the World Heavyweight Champion right now, and he's like the longest reigning like NXT UK Champion of all time at this point, because like it's no longer a brand anymore. So it's like they have a lot of chips riding on Gunther. Like he's the next big thing, no pun intended, but he's the next big thing in Paul Levesque's eyes, and he knows that, and it's good to see that the NXT guys and girls that Triple H was over and all that stuff, like they're getting that shine, they're getting that push, that well deserved push that they kind of need. I'm like with Tiffany Stratton on SmackDown, she cashed in her Money in the Bank cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase, if I could speak, and she became a women's world champion. And it's like, and she was in NXT for like maybe less than a year, maybe a year and a half or something like that. And then she goes up to the main roster and she's already doing bigger things and better things. That just says something about Paul Levesque and his creative mind that not a lot of people know how to book like he does. TK, take notes. And it's like, Paul Levesque's like just one of those people that's like, he is going to be the best booker of all time, I would say. I mean, Tony Khan's like, he's good, but he's not that good. He puts on good pay-per-views somewhat. Like him and Triple H, like they both put on like good pay-per-views and all that stuff, but it's like Triple H is like, it's always the bigger, better story behind it, sort of thing. So let me rein in the reins here before I go off on a tangent again. Number 6, or well, I guess number 8 for me. 2013 Royal Rumble, Chris Jericho's surprise return. Dolph Ziggler entered the 2013 Royal Rumble at number 1 and waited, like the rest of the fans, in the United States Airway Center in Phoenix to see who would step through the curtain to join him at the top of the 30-minute lineup. Lights dimmed down and break the walls down exploded over the PA system as Chris Jericho made a shocking surprise return to WWE after months away. It was another example of WWE's ability to preserve a surprise even in the age of internet spoilers and know-it-all insiders. Jericho would compete in the match for over 47 minutes before eliminated by Ziggler, a incredible feat for someone who had not been in the ring consistently for months ahead of his return. I remember that Rumble too. I think it was the year before, in 2012. He was going to win. He was going to win that 2012. That 2012 Royal Rumble, but then internet rumors and all that stuff, like spoilers, all that shit. It was like, well, we're not gonna have you win this time, Chris. We're gonna have you put it on Sheamus, and it's like then you have the bro kick heard around the world moment and all that crap too. So it was, it just sucked, because like Jericho's like, he's one of those veterans that does not get a lot of credit for his craft, but it's like you gotta learn you gotta know when to hang it up, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in the current run in AEW right now, it's not his best work. I know there's probably a lot of people like, well, he's like, he's like, I understand he's old as dirt, but it's like, give the younger guys that can still move, like, give them the spotlight, give them the shine that you, as a veteran, can give them. Like, you're the gatekeeper. You're one of those people that has to put some of the younger guys over. But it's like, like you don't need to be world ROH world champion again. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, like, but come on. So with that being said, going back to 2016 again, this is the AJ Styles debut. Buzz surrounded AJ Styles in a potential deal with WWE as 2016 arrived, but even speculation could not prepare the wrestling world for the reaction. The phenomenal one got when he entered the Kia Center in Orlando at number 3 in the Royal Rumble match. The word phenomenal appeared on the video screen, and the former TNA, ROH, and New Japan Pro Wrestling star stepped through the curtain to a roar from the fans. Any doubt about the WWE Universe's recognition or appreciation of Styles were dashed immediately as the world-renowned competitor announced his signing with the company in one of the most unforgettable moments of the last decade. Styles immediately sparred with the top star Roman Reigns, establishing himself as being on the level of the top dog in the promotion, a superstar with whom he would battle 3 short months later with the WWE Championship at stake. I do remember that. It was like he had his match with Chris Jericho at Fastlane. It was like Y2AJ at Fastlane or something like that. And then like he immediately like turns on him, and it's just like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then they have the match at Mania against AJ and Jericho at Mania, which is like, it's one of those matches like, it's like, okay, like, that's something that would be like fantasy booked. It's like, okay, like, you have Lionheart versus, a phenomenal one. Okay, that's kind of cool. But then it's like he loses to Jericho. I'm like, okay. So then it's like after that he goes into the feud with Roman Reigns, and then you have like lots of fucking 6-man tags with AJ, Gallows, and Anderson versus Roman Reigns and Usos. I'm like, okay, like there's a lot of 6-man tags with that. Like, oh my god. And maybe like some singles matches here and there, but it's like there was a lot. Like there was a good 6-man tag, I think I heard from that feud, I think. And then it was like what, Payback? He loses to Roman, and then Extreme Rules he loses to Roman, and then it's like after that it's like he's like doing some things, but it's like he doesn't win the title for like another year, maybe a year after that. Like he wins the WWE Championship like as soon as Raw and SmackDown became separate brands, and did the draft and all that stuff. And then like he goes to SmackDown and he immediately wins the WWE Championship from Dean Ambrose at Backlash. It's like, yay, you know. But I mean, his career's not over yet. I'm just actually just kind of wondering like what's gonna happen with AJ, because like I know for like a while like they wanted to do AJ and HBK, but I know like HBK he's kind of older, he's got a lot of ring rust probably still to this day, because they don't want to really push it, and I understand that. I mean, we got like Shinsuke and AJ at Mania one year. It did not live up to the expectations though, because New Japan AJ and Shinsuke were totally two different beasts back then. Which kind of sucks. It was a huge letdown. To say the least. I mean, the AJ and Kevin Owens feud was kind of cool, I guess, but it went from that to Kevin Owens versus Shane, which nobody really wanted. And then we had like AJ versus Bryan at some point too. I mean, that was kind of cool. And then he gets paired with Omos and becomes Raw Tag Champs with a Nigerian Giant, who doesn't really do like maybe 5 moves of doom or something. I mean, we did get the AJ and Cena feud too. The matches were freaking awesome. I mean, especially the SummerSlam match, that was freaking awesome. I mean, but other than that, it's like he's had like a very lackluster WWE career, I would say. That's just me. That's probably just me being me. Um, but I don't know how else to really put it. It was just like he comes in off of the New Japan stuff in ROH and TNA with all this momentum, and it's like you don't have him win the Rumble. But it's like I could also see why they didn't do that right away, because it's like you could have done a huge like good story with the Rumble that year with Triple H and Dean. Because like have Triple H win the Rumble. That's awesome. That's step one. But also put like Dean Ambrose as a main event level talent, but not have him go against fucking Brock Lesnar, who's gonna squash him in like 9 minutes. Like it just derailed so much potential with AJ and Dean Ambrose, like with those two guys. Um, but you know what? I'm gonna rest my case here because I'll go on another tangent, which I already did. So back to the episode here. Edge's unlikely return in 2020. This is before the whole world went to shit and we had a pandemic. I remember this return. This was like so cool. It gave me like goosebumps because within that Rumble match as well, we also had like Drew McIntyre eliminate Brock Lesnar, which was a huge moment. It was a huge moment because Brock Lesnar was just burying like a lot of people. Like he was like, bye Ricochet, bye MVP, bye whoever. And then it's like when Drew eliminated Brock Lesnar, it was like one of those things where it was like, wow, like he got rid of that huge threat. And then unlikely return with Edge because 2011 he was forced into early retirement due to a neck injury. And then after 8 long years spent on the sidelines, he occasionally made cameos here and there, and then he would give a spear to Elias during the SummerSlam pre-show. But it turns out that was a preview of things to come. That following January of the 2020 Royal Rumble, Edge exploded through the curtain to a deafening ovation, emotion painting his face as he basked in the glory of the WWE faithful. Tears flowed, adrenaline was at a high, and spears were dealt as the Radar Superstar tore through his fellow superstars. He did not win the Rumble, of course, but he did announce his return to competition as active wrestler in Grand Faction and kicked off one last run with the WWE. He was there from 2020 to I think 2021 or 2022. Because I remember it was like he was gone for like a while after I think it was after 2021 or 2022. Because then he goes to AEW and he has his fun there. And he's back doing Raid FTR and stuff now, which is kind of cool. Glad to see him back after that horrible ankle injury. Oh my god. Glad just stay healthy, man. Please just stay healthy. And it was just so cool, like just to see him back. But it's like one of those things where it's like they didn't really do a lot with him because he was limited on what he can do, and they gave us that. I don't want to say it's bad matches, but it's like it's Edge versus Orton. They could have gave it to us like back then, like 20 years ago, or I'm sorry, maybe like 15 years ago, something like that, when Rated RKO was still a thing. But these guys are older now. They can't do much. They can't do a lot anymore. I mean, they could still go. They could still go. Don't doubt about it. But it's just like they can do not a lot of stuff in the ring, But it gave us the best match ever at Backlash, and it almost went like a whole fucking hour, which they didn't really need to do. It could have been like like 30 minutes shorter, something like that. It was a fun last man standing match at WrestleMania 36, though. It was kind of long, but it was kind of fun. And then he had the match with Roman and Bryan at that next year's WrestleMania, which I saw live. still pandemic, whatever. And then he didn't really do too much. After that, he faced Roman one more time and at Money in the Bank that one year. And then it was like super overshadowed by the Cena return in 2022. But yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, man, it's like I'm kind of glad that he kind of left when he did, because it was just one of those things where it's like there was really nothing much to do like anymore. Sorry. Last final thing for Royal Rumble moments: the 08 2008 2008 Royal Rumble, the Cena return. Now, this return blew up in the interwebs of the universe here, because in 07 he had a torn pectoral muscle, which was expected to keep him out of action for 6 months to maybe a full year. Means no WrestleMania, let alone the Rumble. Imagine the surprise then when My Time Is Now filled Madison Square Garden and Cena stepped through the curtain as the number 30 entrant into that year's 30-man extravaganza. The arena erupted into one of the loudest ovations in company history, a combination of surprise and genuine excitement to see the top star in the industry back in time for the most important stretch of the year. It's all on YouTube. Just listen to that crowd, and you cannot not get goosebumps. You cannot not get goosebumps when you hear it. It's one of those Rumble returns that's like the commentary puts it over huge. Like Cena's number 30. It's like we did not expect him to return, let alone like return at all and all stuff. And like JR puts it over huge. Like God bless JR, because he's going through a rough time right now. And JR and Cole and Jerry the King Lawler, they're putting it over huge, because it's like this is like Cena we're talking about, Super Cena. This is when Super Cena was becoming a thing. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, man, it's like Cena's just like one of those machines where it's like it feels like to me he's filled with the exoskeleton from Wolverine. He's filled with adamantium. That's what he feels like. That's what it feels like to me sometimes. But I am gonna do something that's kind of unprecedented a little bit. To do a 2-for-1 sort of thing here. Like I said at the top of the episode, I'm gonna do the Royal Rumble moments that I thought was kind of cool, but I'm also gonna do Royal Rumble predictions. I don't know if there's a lot of matches on the card yet. It's less than three weeks away or something like that at this point. But I'm gonna try to do my best and do my due diligence here. So. Alright, so there's not going to be a lot of predictions on this as a whole, but I'll try to do my best to kind of give my thoughts on it. So with the men's Royal Rumble match, there's always 7 participants so far. We have LA Knight, yeah. We have John Cena, CM Punk, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, Seth freaking Rollins, and Drew McIntyre. Now, as to who is going to win it, it's either a toss-up between Cena and Punk for me. Because Roman doesn't really need the Rumble win. Because he could just challenge for a world title shot whenever he wants to, so like that. Same with Seth and Drew as well. We're probably going to see a continuation of the Seth and Punk feud within the Rumble match. I could also see Cena winning, because it's one of those things where it's because his time is limited at this point, because he's got so many dates planned out throughout the whole year, and this is the final Rumble, final WrestleMania, final Survivor Series, final whatever, final SummerSlam this year. So his time is limited at this point. Now, who would probably come out on this? I can see Cena winning, but I could also see Punk winning. I could also see Drew McIntyre winning too, because we did not get we got the Rumble win in 2020 in front of the fans, but we didn't get the WrestleMania win in front of fans. You know what I'm saying? Because I think also Drew and Cody would be a good Mania match too. Because I think on Raw or SmackDown, he said, like, I'll see you down the road, sort of thing. So my three predictions are Cena, Punk, and Drew for the men's Rumble match. For the women's, though, there's only like one participant, and it's Nia Jax. If I had to pick somebody, I could see Nia Jax winning, but like a good wild card would be Becky Lynch, or I don't like to say this, but Charlotte Flair, or maybe Liv Morgan, because because on the Raw premiere, Liv got dethroned by Rhea Ripley, which is kudos to her. And then like the SmackDown, I think after the Raw premiere, like we got the Tiffany Stratton cash in and all that stuff, which is kudos to her. And then like on the NXT after that, we got Julia defeating Roxanne Perez to become the new NXT Women's Champion. It's like WWE's like giving us like a New Year's Eve or a New Year's gift, being like, okay, here you go. I could see four people, maybe 4 people winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Nia Jax, Lynch, Charlotte Flair. I don't like saying it, but it's probably true at this point. And Liv Morgan. I think those 4 predictions are good, because like those are 4 solid contenders right there. And plus, like, I think they're gonna keep the feud between Nia and Tiffany Stratton going by this point. Because it's always Nia Jax like having that like hot female best friend, and they're always turning on her. So it's like, why not? The third match on this pay-per-view so far is a ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Cody Rhodes is going to win because Kevin Owens has a 1-7 record at Royal Rumble events, which is crazy. Because he's not winning the Rumble. He's only had like the one title defense that he's had was 2017, and it was the Universal Championship when it got first announced, and it was against Roman Reigns at that year's event, and they could have done so much more with Kevin Owens at that time too. Like, they did a lot with him, but it was like mostly between Seth and Roman at that time too. So whatever. But yeah, that was my overall Rumble. It was a Rumble centric episode because I figured, you know what, let's do a Rumble centric episode for the Rumble this year. It is a few weeks away, so stay tuned to that. Probably watching on Peacock. It's probably on the Peacock probably at this point. But with that being said, thank you thank you so very much for listening and or watching. If you watched the end of this video, please make sure to like us and subscribe to us, and follow us on social medias in the link in the description below, which will take you to our link tree, which will take you to our Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, or probably not Snapchat, but Instagram, Twitter, Reddit page, Instagram, YouTube pages, I think Twitter pages as well. My gaming YouTube channel is on there as well. I am currently at 1,508 subscribers right now, which is freaking amazing. And tonight's song of the night is a band that me and Marissa have known for a while, and Marissa's just getting into them, which is kind of crazy. And it's Avenged Sevenfold, or if you want to put it in like shorter terms, it's A7X. And the song of the night is called Nightmare. There is a video for it. It is really trippy. But if you have seen it before, just watch it again. It's freaking phenomenal. But yeah, that is it for the episode tonight. Song of the night, Avenged Sevenfold's Nightmare. And that's it. I will see you next week for another episode of the Reckless Paradise podcast. Stay loved, be loved. Peace!